Welcome to Learn Data with Mark. In this video, we're going to learn how to use tea.xyz to compare the way that errors are rendered in Python 3.10 and 3.11. I have a GitHub project called Python versions, and I've got that checked out locally. And if we have a look at the README file, you can see under the dependencies section, there's a table which describes some dependencies that can be used by the T tool, as long as we're using the -- end flag. So we'll basically go in there and say, okay, I'm going to pick up that pantry and use it with the version that you've specified. So in this case, the python.org pantry is specifying version 3.10.8. So it's going to install Python 3.10.8 and run whatever we tell it to run against that version. Now, we can obviously change that table, like in the file, if we want to use a different version, and that's what we're going to be doing in this video. And so between the examples where I'm comparing 3.10 and 3.11, I'm going to be just changing it manually off video, because otherwise it's going to be a little bit boring to watch. So we're going to start just with something really, really simple. So we've got a version file here, and it prints out the Python version onto the console. So if we run it with the 3.10.8, you can see it prints out 3.10.8. Now we'll go and update that file. The README file we'll put in equals 3.11.1. Let's run it again. And this time it says, okay, you're running with 3.11.1. If we didn't have 3.11.1 installed already, it would have gone in and installed that. But since we do already have it installed, you just see it just runs straight away. Now we're going to use it to actually see how error messages differ between these two Python versions. And so there were basically some changes done in 3.11 to make it easier to see where errors have happened. And it's mostly around like helping to figure out, okay, that's exactly where the error is. Like when you read it, if you accidentally read a none type, or if you do an arithmetic expression and say you divide by 0, it's going to be like, okay, that's where you have the problem. So let's see how this works. We're going to start with errors1.py. And so in this one, we've got a divide by 0 error. So you can see the Z is 0. And if we run this with 3.10, it says, hey, you've got a float division by 0. And you're like, okay, cool. Where exactly in that line is it? I've got 3 numbers. I don't know which one it is. But if we run it the same thing with 3.11, it's like, there it is. It points at exactly where it is on the line. And so we know in this case, hey, it's the Z. Okay, cool. And if that value was being provided dynamically, it would actually be more helpful. I mean, here it's obviously hard coded, so we know exactly where it is. But if it was coming in, maybe we would then go, okay, maybe we need to not run that expression if it's 0. Let's put in some defensive code around it. Let's have a look at example number 2. So example number 2 is a nested JSON file, which has a person, which then has a name and an address. And in the next line, we then attempt to read the address's postcode, which doesn't exist. So what's going to happen if we try that with 3.10? So it's not too bad, actually. It's pretty good. So it says, hey, well, you're missing the postcode attribute. That doesn't actually miss. So that's pretty good, actually. We could figure out exactly what the problem is. 3.11 does slightly better, and it points out exactly where it is. So it's like, hey, it's there. It's there right at the top. That's where you're missing it, on that right near that postcode attribute or string even. And now let's have a look at another one. So this is errors 3. And this one is what happens if we have a null value in a nested dictionary. And so if we try and read it this time with 3.10, it goes, hey, none object not subscriptable. And you go, okay, so which one was not subscriptable? Like it was several layers of nesting. If we do it with 3.11, it points out, hey, it was when we were trying to get the address. So you know, okay, well, it was the object just above that was none. So that's pretty cool. So that's the end of this video, in which we've learned how to compare Python error handling in 3.10 and 3.11 with help from the tea.xyz tool. If you found the video useful, don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. If you have any ideas for things that I should cover, please let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in the next video.